And we are live. You're listening to Down to the Wire. I'm Carter Adams.
I'm Brian Costa.
And I know that was backwards, but we got a lot in store for you guys tonight.
Yeah, just completely crazy night around the sports world. Just been an absolutely crazy weekend. I mean, we got stories from the NBA, MLB, NFL, all of it. It's gonna be a great show. We got Tyler Tucker, the third member of our main cast, will be here tonight on the Zoom to talk with us about some of this stuff. But before he ends up getting on, let's get this thing started.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so over the weekend, the Los Angeles Lakers, finally did it with the help of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They took home banner number 17, and they're now tied with the Celtics for the most championships in NBA history.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think, but LeBron James now has his fourth NBA title. I mean, it comes in the bubble, but he is now a four-time NBA champion. What are your thoughts?
I mean, rightfully so. I noticed you said that the Lakers did it with the help of LeBron and AD. But
well, I mean, obviously, that's obviously the tandem that
I'd argue
brought
that the Lakers, or I'd argue that LeBron and AD did it, and the Lakers were helping them.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying
that's the way I put it. But no, yes.
I was just saying that I wasn't trying to discredit the Lakers or anything like that. I'm just saying that LeBron ended up bringing the title home.
Yeah. Well, yeah. LeBron ended up bringing the title home.
Absolutely. I mean, he was named the Finals MVP. Had himself a hell of a series. I mean, both of those guys did.
Yeah. Hell of a playoffs too.
Yeah, it's crazy to think the bubble's officially over. I mean, crazy experiment by the NBA. I mean, it worked out extremely well. I mean, in 3 months they had 0 positive COVID tests. So, just a complete success on their part. Congratulations to them. I mean, I know a ton of the other leagues are going to take a lot of things from this learning experience and try to apply it down the road. I mean, having 0 cases like this during this pandemic, it's unprecedented. So, I think a lot of leagues are going to follow in the footsteps of the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it from the start. The NBA was definitely doing the bubble the correct way. As time went on, I don't know if I agreed with it as much just because of the impacts on the players, but they did it successfully, and I give them credit for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think I said this at the beginning of this whole bubble conversation. I look forward to seeing any documentaries or videos of these guys hanging out in the bubble, all the stuff that's coming on. There will be a 30 for 30 about it. It just depends on how long that's going to be. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to look back on this in 10, 20 years and just think that we had this whole bubble scenario.
Yeah.
Maybe this comes again, in the future, if COVID doesn't, end up calming down towards next summer. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that isn't the case, but I mean, you never know. This whole pandemic thing has been absolutely, crazy.
Yeah. The reason why I like the bubble so much is because we really just got to see raw talent on the court. I mean, no other factors besides that. You got guys going to Florida to play basketball and pretty much only play basketball. They have their fun on their downtime, but the main goal of being there is to play basketball. And I think the bubble really proved who can do it and who can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about that, but I mean, I just watching it all play out. I mean, we were saying from the beginning, there were just teams who wanted to be there more. We talked about the Celtics who, really just couldn't overcome the challenge Miami put against them. I thought a Celtics Lakers final would have really been a classic to see, but Miami just proved that they really were on that business mission that Jimmy Butler wanted them to go on. And it's just unfortunate for the Heat that they couldn't finish it off. And as they were, taken down in 6 games by the Lakers.
Yeah, I really wish we were able to see not really a third place game, but almost like a consolation game between not even a series, just a game between the Celtics and the Nuggets. That would have been very interesting.
Really?
Because I mean, why not?
Yeah, I guess
You're trying all these other new things. If you're the NBA, you're trying out so much. Might as well try that out. I mean, I'm sure the last thing the players want to do is stay there for longer than they have to if they lose. But if you do a third place game, little best of 3, that's something cool for the fans. Did we get to see the Nuggets and the Celtics play at all?
I mean, maybe my memory on any regular season seeding games are pretty hazy at this point.
Yeah.
I don't see the NBA ever trying to do a consolation game like that because I mean you just think of games that for a lot of these guys that don't matter. You think of the Team USA trial games or whatever it was. It was one of the preliminary games where Paul George went down and he just snapped his ankle against that backboard. Not against the backboard, but the supporting part of the basket. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see stuff like that, and it's just if there's a game that really doesn't matter, why are we going to be throwing these guys out there if there's that potential for injury?
That's true.
So I just don't see that ever possibly being a thing in the NBA.
Potential for injury, also more potential for some bench players to get a little more play time.
It could be.
Didn't get a lot in the bubble.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not really unheard of in sports. Like you see, like soccer in the World Cup, they have a third place game, and some other sports too. But
that's usually Well, I mean, you think of the third place games in soccer and the Olympics, and that's usually built around the idea of a bronze medal, a silver medal, and a gold medal.
Yeah.
That's really just filling out that bronze category.
That's true.
So, yeah, I don't ever see that really happen in the NBA. I mean, you can in the NBA and the Olympics, sure, but besides that, I really don't see that.
Yeah. Just a cool idea.
I mean,
that Nuggets Celtics game would have been something to watch.
In an ideal world, it would be fun to see, but I just don't anticipate seeing that anytime soon.
Too much liability for the players.
Yeah, I think so.
Because if you're not getting paid to go out there on the court, why would you do it, right?
Yeah. But one of the things that is coming up from in the aftermath of the NBA championship between the Lakers and the Heat. A lot of people are asking, has this changed the debate in any sort of way between Michael Jordan and LeBron James?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
You still got MJ as your GOAT?
Yes.
All right. So what do you think? What do you think people would be trying to say right now that are trying to make the case that something has changed in a way?
That LeBron has won 3 finals on 3 different teams.
Yeah. I mean, that's
the only other argument I see.
I would also say MJ is still my GOAT, but LeBron has really, proved himself this playoffs. I mean, I really have no clue how players from Jordan's era would handle a bubble situation. I mean, I think that they'd be instead of them hanging out with each other, I think they'd be more focused on.
There'd be a lot of fights.
There'd probably be a lot more fights than probably just skiing, water skiing and stuff like that.
Times have changed, and I mean, I guess the argument is LeBron is able to go on to 3 different teams and do it 3 different times. Jordan's able to do it 6 times on one team. What's more impressive?
Yeah. I mean, you look at the resume of Michael Jordan. For me, it's still obvious in that category. I know a lot of people look at a 4-6 record and it's like, well, he's been to the finals 10 times, but at the same time, I mean, he does unfortunately have those losses that really are unfortunately a blemish against his career.
Mm-hmm. And that's not always a reflection on him. That's also just the teams that are surrounding him.
I mean, you think of the team he led there. I think it was in. I'd have to say maybe 2018 when he ended up getting swept. I mean, he had no help on that team. Kyrie wasn't even there. You think of trying to think of him in 2007 when he was leading Mo Williams and Ilgauskas to that finals. Yeah. I mean, there have been some times where he's gotten to those finals and he's had zero help, but there have been finals where he's had the talent, like in the first year down in Miami when Dirk ended up coming through and beating him. And then you could maybe make the case against the first time that the Warriors played him and they took him 5 games. But it is a tough thing to really sort between.
Yeah, definitely. He's proven that you can get through the Eastern Conference no problem, but in the past, I mean, this year he proved that you can get through the Western Conference no problem. The Heat actually put up a pretty decent fight.
You think so?
Yes.
I mean, Jimmy Butler said that he believes the Heat will be back. Are you buying that, or are you just thinking that it's going to be too tough of a path?
I really think it'll be too tough of a path.
I agree.
Heat were a cool story, but I really don't see them doing too much. You think of the restrictions that the bubble places on almost everything, and when those aren't there, the Heat, how are they going to deal with it?
What were they anyways? Weren't they like a 5 seed?
Yes.
So they were a 5 seed going into this playoffs, and I believe that's probably how they're going to end up performing next season, unless they end up getting some major addition to their team.
Yeah.
I think that the Heat. I mean, Jimmy Butler is a great leader for that team. They got a lot of young talent coming up, so I'd say down the line, I'd 100% say that there's the possibility of them really competing is in the horizon, but. In the immediate future, I would probably say no.
Because they've proven that they could do it.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I mean, they definitely have that ability to really just overcome that adversity. And when they're in that pressure cooker environment that it was the NBA bubble, they thrived under it. Jimmy Butler basically just took them all under his wing, and he just said, "Hey guys, we're going to ride this thing as far as we can get it." And he came basically 1 game away from an NBA championship.
Yeah, and I say it every time. That's exactly the environment that Jimmy Butler needed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
You let him play with cats, he's gonna act like a dog because he is a dog. But you put him with the other dogs, he's gonna play like a dog, right?
Yeah, I got you. Yes. No, so I mean, the guy's an absolute fighter. He proved it in that situation. I mean, the guy's electric. I mean, he's going to fight till the bitter end, and he proved it in that finals.
I really hope there's a fan presence next year because I feel like this bubble situation for the Heat, at least for their franchise, could have been very beneficial because who's gonna want to see them more than their own fans, especially after a finals run.
And I do think when fans do get back in the stands, there is going to be a very loud appreciation for what Jimmy Butler did in these playoffs.
Definitely.
I mean, he completely carried this team. I mean, I've looked at Jimmy Butler for a long time, and I've really seen nothing more than him ever being more of a two guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I've seen him at his height. But he really proved that he can be a top notch guy when he wants to be. And I really did discount him for a long time, so I will give him that.
I think everyone did in a way.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you look at him on Philly, you look at him with the Timberwolves, and it was like, well, is it going to be him? Is it him or is it Cat?
Yeah.
And I mean, he thought it was him, but the other guys on that team thought it was the other guys. Yeah. And I remember there was a story where he basically decided he requested a trade, and I guess the Timberwolves denied him. So in retaliation against it, he decided to go to practice, and he ended up teaming up with the bench guys, and he ended up facing the starters, and he just absolutely demolished the starters in the practice and just demoralized them.
Yeah, you see these off the court stories with Jimmy Butler, and he's definitely something special, and he's proven it. Maybe not in the nicest way, but he always does. And I also want to see that fan presence of Tyler Hero too.
Yeah.
Because they're going to love him.
Yeah, speaking of Tyler, we got Tyler Tucker in the waiting room. We're going to let him in.
We do. Tyler Tucker. Yeah. There he is.
How we doing, buddy?
How's it going, guys?
Doing good.
We're just talking a little bit about the NBA Finals. Brian said that Jimmy Butler proved himself as a number one player on any team that he may go to in the future. What are your thoughts?
Did I say that?
Well, if you said that if Jimmy Butler proved himself as a number one player, that means he can go anywhere, right?
I mean, I don't know about anywhere. I mean, he's in a perfect situation down in Miami. I wouldn't say a number one option.
You said that you always thought he was a 2 guy, and now you think he's a 1 guy.
I think he's more of a 1A at this point.
Maybe I mistaken.
Hey, you're good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts on how
if Brian mistakenly said that, I agree with it 100%, because Jimmy Butler is a straight-up dog. Effort, just from tip-off to the end of the game, he's just a stud. He goes to the rim every time. I think he is the number one player anywhere he goes. Because, I mean, look at a guy like Giannis. I mean, granted, talent, definitely Giannis, he's got a little bit of an edge. But effort-wise, Jimmy Butler out-hustles anyone in the NBA, and I'll put him at the number one slot on any team he goes to.
Tyler, I think I'm going to have to agree with you. Jimmy Butler hustle is like no other.
Yeah, and that's not something I was ever trying to discount from the guy. I do agree that he really gives it his all with his hustle. I mean, that is never anything I'm going to take away from Jimmy Butler. What I probably would agree though with Tyler saying is that a guy like Giannis does have more of an edge, and I know we kind of made some basically some conspiracy theories of Giannis and Jimmy Butler teaming up. If that was to ever happen, I would say that Giannis would probably have more of an offensive presence. But if you're trying to ask who the leader of that clubhouse is, it is Jimmy Butler. So that's what I was trying to get at.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Butler, if you're trying to basically look at it from being a number one talent, if you're talking clubhouse presence, 100%.
Yeah, but we're talking about the past with Jimmy Butler too, and how he's proven off the court so many times that he needs to be that number one player in order to thrive.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think, unless Giannis is willing to recognize Jimmy Butler as that number one player, I don't think anything like that would work.
If Giannis really wants a championship, he needs to learn how to do that.
From what I've seen out of Giannis, he does seem like a guy that really is willing to put a lot of stuff. He doesn't seem like that. He doesn't seem as much of a guy that wants to cause drama. And if he doesn't need to be that number one guy, and he thinks that he can dish that to someone else, I don't think he'd be opposed to it. I really don't. He does seem like a team player. And if he went to a team where Jimmy Butler, has a large presence in that locker room, I feel like he's going to. I really do feel like Giannis would do well with Jimmy Butler.
Really,
I do. I think that Giannis, he at this point just really wants to win that ship, and I think that he is basically just in it for whatever. I think he will put any personal gripes aside. He does not seem like he has basically a strong complex about himself. I think he would go into any situation and if he needs to give Jimmy Butler basically the keys to that team, but I think he would be willing to do that.
That would definitely be one hell of a pickup for the Heat, though.
I mean, obviously,
yeah,
MVP of the league.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, honestly, but we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, we'll have to see what.
That's a conspiracy.
I mean, we'll have to see what Pat Riley and that team do in the offseason. I mean, I'm wondering what the Heat is going to do to possibly, basically reward Jimmy Butler for the finals that he had, and just say, hey, you let us here. Let's finish the job and let's get a piece in.
You got to do something.
But I mean, who do they really need? Who do they need to go and spend big money on? They already got their center. They got their star small forward. They got a solid point guard, and then Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero are perfect complementary two pieces. I mean, maybe a good power forward. Kelly Olynyk really doesn't get the job done. Yeah, maybe you go out and get yourself.
Same thing with Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
I like Jay Crowder, but neither of them are superstars.
I mean, listen, Crowder's fine, but I think that you could definitely, upgrade from Jay Crowder.
I mean, if the stars align,
sure.
it can't be that unlikely for Giannis to make a move to the Heat.
I mean, he has 1 year. He has 1 year left on his deal. I could imagine the Heat. I'm not saying you can find. I'm not saying there's a greatly discounted price for the NBA MVP two times in a row. But I mean, if a guy does have 1 year left on his deal, I feel like the Heat could maybe. I feel like the Bucks could maybe be in a situation where if their hand is forced with a good enough deal, they could pull a trigger.
Make a trade. You mean?
I mean, that's the way it would happen.
The Heat get 1 year to just go for it before they have to absolutely pay Giannis.
I mean, that's an option of what could happen. I mean, if not, the whole idea of Giannis to the Heat would probably be 2 years down the line at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2 years down the line. I don't really see who the Heat would have that could match the value of Giannis besides Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough to think, but guess what? I mean, I really don't know that Bucks front office too well. If they were, to be persuaded by, some sort of very lucrative deal, especially with the idea of it being a 1 year deal for Giannis, and if they were to come by and think that they had the option of bringing a guy like him back, I mean, they definitely have their hands tied. I feel.
Yeah,
I feel like they'd definitely be in a difficult situation.
But yeah, we saw that news earlier after the Bucks lost that Giannis had a meeting with the president.
Yeah,
and
the president.
The Bucks want him to stick around. They're willing to spend the money on whatever that.
They did say they are willing to spend over the luxury tax, which does kind of put a dash in the idea of an actual deal of him leaving at least this year going down. I think that Giannis is gonna. I feel like he would be committed to this team this year. I feel like he is going to try to really go for it. It's just going to be a matter of what can the Bucks put around him, though. Yeah, that's going to be the only problem. I mean, I know we talked Chris Paul, we talked a bunch of guys like that, but the question does remain.
Tyler, who could the Bucks put around him?
I don't think that's really the question. I think where should Giannis go is really the question.
You think he's out?
And he's gone. He's gone.
He's gone.
And he's going to the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, God.
It's been talked about forever. He's going there. You put some shooters around that big dude.
You draft
it's game over.
Then you got three Splash Brothers getting Giannis Antetokounmpo. Who's beating you?
There's a super team right there.
Exactly. Oh, who's beating you? Nobody.
No one. Who's stopping that team? You got
any team
Curry, Clay.
It's going to be Golden State too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to pick, what super team do you want running the NBA? The LeBron AD Lakers or that Golden State Warriors?
Oh, I would want the Lakers, but I mean, I think the Golden State Warriors are just inevitable. They're a great run organization. So
I think in that situation, I'm picking the Lakers too.
Yeah, I love me some LeBron.
I'm rooting for LeBron, but yes.
Why are you going to probably say the Lakers? Is it just going to be the physical presence, basically?
Oh, it's just, I thought we were talking about just a matter of what team I like more, what players I like.
Oh, no, I meant that if that Giannis Golden State team did become a reality with a guy like LaMelo Ball or whatever, who do you think is going to have that bigger chance of really just running the NBA?
Oh, my God, Golden State 100%.
You do?
Yeah.
I mean,
who do you even put on Giannis?
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I mean, I get that, but I mean, if I think about it, if you do get a guy like Giannis, that is going to be a great addition size-wise, but I really don't know what else the Warriors have. I mean, you can make the case for Draymond, but I feel like, AD and LeBron will be able to neutralize at least one of those guys. And Draymond is older. He's not that defensive player of the year guy anymore.
Yeah, but then the issue arises. You can dish it out to Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, or
LaMelo Ball.
Who are just going to drain threes in your mouth all day.
Playing small ball with a 7-foot MVP.
Yeah, and then you just got to pray to God that Giannis doesn't get that 3-point shot.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which he's slowly developing.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be Ben Simmons. That's for sure.
But can we imagine the hate that Giannis would get
if
he went to Golden State?
I mean, he's such a lovable
It'd
guy.
be Kevin Durant times 100.
He's such a lovable guy, but he would get so much hate for that.
Yeah.
It would be
and then
ridiculous.
Golden State becomes the destination where all these great players go to just get their ring.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It would be.
And then they leave.
Yeah, for the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm. Sadly.
Yeah.
This is what the NBA is coming to.
Yeah. So speaking of the NBA, we had, basically one of the key pieces of that Los Angeles Lakers team, Anthony Davis. He was asked on free agency fairly shortly after his finals win, and I believe that the case is settled. But he says that he still doesn't have an idea as to what he will end up doing in free agency. I think that it's a clear shot that he's going to be going back to the Los Angeles Lakers. But could you see any situation where Anthony Davis, wins this chip and he says, "All right, I got mine. I'm gonna go be the focal point on another team."
Here, Brian. This is my response for you.
All right.
Just trying to drum up this media hype by saying, "Where's AD gonna go?" So ESPN can talk about it for the next 3 weeks.
You know if anyone's going to.
He ain't going nowhere.
ESPN.
Yeah. No.
Oh my God.
I think that it's going to be more media hype than anything. But here's the thing: who's going to say that Anthony Davis in that situation isn't like, "Well, I got mine. I'm going to go get it somewhere else."
The fact that he's playing with LeBron James.
You don't think?
Yeah.
You don't think
LeBron James.
Kyrie Irving would do that.
Yeah, that's a Kyrie Irving. AD is nothing like him. AD isn't going nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think he is, but I don't know. It's interesting to me that he isn't just saying, "Hey, I'm committed to this team. I love this Lakers franchise. Let's run it back."
Yeah, I'm gonna have to completely agree with Tyler though. That's all for the media.
I guess.
Yeah, I think that's to try to squeeze a little more money out of them too in his deal. Maybe make that offer a little bit sweeter.
I see your point. I do see your point with that.
Because if he straight up says, "Yep, I want to come back to the Lakers," well, they can lowball let him a little, and he won't end up leaving. But if he says, "Oh, I'm going to keep my options open," then they got to pay out a little more money to make sure he comes back.
I'm sure he's got the best agent out there to do that too.
And that's why we're out of business school. It's business. It's all business.
It's all
baby.
business. Even college is a business.
Yeah. I mean, it's all business, baby. So that's really all that's in the NBA right now. Let's jump over to the NFL. So the big story arising in the NFL right now is that the New York Jets released Levon Bell after only 17 total games, on the field with the team. He's now a free agent, but he is currently 28. He is currently 28 years old. He ended up sitting out. I think it was the 2018 season because of contract disputes. Signed with the Jets for a 4-year deal. He's currently a free agent. Where do you guys think Le'Veon Bell possibly might go?
The Patriots.
Where?
The Patriots.
Well, we can't be surprised by anything.
Of course. Why wouldn't we? Get another star veteran who has been outcast by it.
Yeah.
Been outcast by it.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Belichick's going to sign him for the bare minimum, maybe 1 year, $1 million. Him and Cam are going to have MVP-level seasons. Exactly. Him and Cam are going to have MVP-level seasons, lead them to another championship, and Patriots fans will still get everything they don't deserve. And that's just how it's going to go.
I wonder, is Le'Veon Bell at that point in his career where he's ready to say, "Okay, I don't want to make a lot of money. I want a ring."
I think so.
That's really the only thing I think he needs left in his legacy at this point.
No, you're right. He does need that ring.
He has the accolades.
He's made $28 million in 18 games, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
Talk about a bad investment for the Jets.
Oh my God!
But it's an investment by the Jets. Any investment.
But hang on though. I think the worst investment was Adam Gase. I think without Adam Gase and with a better coach, maybe the Bell and Darnold experiment, and maybe they could have retained Jamal Adams as well, would have worked out a little better.
100%. Gase has just completely trashed that locker room. That environment in there is completely toxic. I think the Jets are on the verge of completely just blowing it up.
Who in the organization was like, this guy led the Dolphins to subpar seasons every year, almost destroyed Ryan Tannehill's career. Let's bring him in. He's who we need to change the culture. and I don't see the logic there.
Yeah, not good moves.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me anything at this point. I mean, I've seen the Jets my entire life, and I've always assumed them with failure. It's really just second nature at this point to see what can go wrong, will go wrong for the New York Jets.
I've lived my whole life waiting for that headline. New York Jets are getting bought out and relocated. They're the next team to have that happen to them.
I don't think so. I mean, they've been in New York too long at this point, Carter. They are a staple. Whether you believe it or not, they are a staple of that city. They are not getting bought out anytime soon.
Okay.
If you want to talk about of who the team in New York is, if you want to talk about it being the Giants, or you want to talk even Buffalo, you can make that case for it. But the Jets aren't going anywhere. That is not happening.
So what besides the fact that they've been a franchise for a long time makes you say that?
I mean, it's just New York franchises like that don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just what it is. If they were in Kansas City, yeah, they're gone. If they're in St. Louis like the Rams, they're going. But New York is not going to end up ever letting a team like that.
But do you think New York as a whole has more loyalty to the Giants or the Jets? Who has a bigger following?
Oh, who cares?
Has more loyal fans.
Jersey, anyways.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, it's weird. I mean, you can find dyed-in-the-wool Giants fans, and you can find dyed-in-the-wool Jets fans. It is crazy.
Where have you been?
I mean,
I've never met a diehard Jets fan. I'm not gonna lie.
Then you haven't been to some parts of New York.
I've been to New York, man. I've been to New York.
You haven't been to parts of New York I've been to.
Oh, okay.
You can find some Jets fans if you're looking in the right spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Jets won't be going anywhere anytime soon. But I mean that both physically and actually as a team. Okay. I don't think that they will be competing anytime soon.
Bought out and relocated.
I have no clue what I'd do if they got bought out and relocated. But
you tell me I'm right.
I would tell you. Tell you you're right. But this is never going to happen.
We'll see about that.
It will never happen.
You think after 15 more losing seasons and it would be set in stone that the Jets are a dead franchise.
The Patriots were a dead franchise for decades. And I mean, they were this close to getting moved to St. Louis, but basically Robert Kraft came in and just saved that franchise basically out of ownership, even though they were still garbage for years.
So you think the Jets
weren't they going to move to Connecticut in the early 2000s?
I don't know if they were getting moved to Connecticut, but they almost ended up getting moved. They almost were the St. Louis franchise.
So you think the Jets are going to get saved before they get good?
They're not going to get saved by winning games. They're just going to get saved by an owner who can take better care of them.
Okay, yeah, and when that happens, sure, the Jets won't be a dying franchise, but I just think they are going to be a dying franchise until that happens.
Do you think they're almost kind of going the way of the Knicks, pretty much?
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, if the Knicks weren't a New York franchise, they would not be in New York anymore.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks are honestly in a very similar situation. The Jets, I mean, they've also been just abysmal for literally. I mean, I don't think they've made the playoffs since 2013. But besides that, it has been a rough new century for them.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I mean, both you think of those franchises, and it's crazy to think that
Oh my God! The Cleveland Browns got relocated. Yes, the Jets can get relocated.
That's Cleveland. Everything bad can happen in Cleveland.
Cleveland pretty good this year.
In Ohio.
Doesn't matter. There's a lot of the football teams in Ohio.
Okay.
I mean, in Ohio. That's what I meant to say.
Two. All right.
Yeah. What were you saying there, Tyler?
No, I said the Browns are just pretty good this season.
Yeah, they're great.
They are doing pretty well this year. They're 4-1, and that's the first time they've ever had a record like that since 1994. That was when guess who? Bill Belichick was the head coach of that team.
Wow.
Makes sense.
That year, the Browns went 11-5. Belichick took them to the wild card round. They ended up beating the Patriots in that wild card round.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Well, here's another interesting fact about records. This is the Vikings' worst start since 2013. And do you guys know who the Vikings quarterback was in 2013?
Ponder.
Christian Ponder.
Yeah.
Wow.
The man himself.
I mean, you want to talk about bad Vikings QBs, Tyler. I mean, I saw a stat come out because we had, believe it or not, we had Tuesday Night Football last night. And that was the first time that we've had, it's only the second time the NFL has played on a Tuesday since 1946. The second time it happened, the Vikings beat the Eagles. Tyler, do you want to know who the quarterback of the Vikings was during that game?
1946?
No, during 2010 because
2010.
Only been 2
Oh, that had to be Brett Favre.
No, sir.
Matt Castle.
Wow, I think Brian's a bigger Vikings fan than you.
I think
2010. Brett Favre was 09. Who was that?
Quarterback for your Minnesota Vikings, number 14, Joe Webb. Yeah.
No,
Really?
never watched Joe Webb in my life.
Oh, really?
No.
Really? That was in 2010. Webb was basically just a journeyman his entire career. Ended up trying to transition to wide receiver at the end. Really kind of just was, a garbage quarterback, and somehow the Eagles ended up, somehow the Vikings ended up getting a win against the Eagles with that guy. I mean, to think about that, I don't know. That was just something I was thinking about the Vikings having bad quarterbacks to, start their seasons. I mean, you think of him, you think of Christian Ponder, and Kirk Cousins right now really isn't living up to that contract.
Kirk Cousins hasn't lived up to that contract. One day he's been under that contract.
Really? What about that pass to Rudolph?
Did it win him a Super Bowl? No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, but has any quarterback, recently won the Vikings this week?
Well, that contract when it was first signed, that was made to be he's the best quarterback in football because he was the highest paid quarterback in football. And look at what the highest paid quarterback in football is doing now. Patrick Mahomes, he just won a freaking Super Bowl in the fourth quarter. And I mean, I'm not saying the Chiefs would be as good as if they had the Vikings weapons, but they'd definitely be a better team with Patrick Mahomes under center. So
I mean, any team's going to be a better team with Pat Mahomes under center, Tyler. I know you wish you could have that guy under center for the Vikings, but it ain't happening anytime soon. You just lose him?
No.
Oh, be back.
Thought I lost you there for a sec.
So what were you saying?
I was just saying that any team would be better under center if you had Pat Mahomes there. I mean, that guy is just a franchise.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I mean,
which goes to my point. Highest paid, should have that kind of effect, but
yeah,
Kirk Cousins just doesn't.
Exactly why I said he was the highest paid quarterback in the league. He didn't win a Super Bowl yet. He's probably not going to. Not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that contract I don't think was dictated on Kirk being the best player in football. That contract was dictated on the fact that the Vikings have really struggled to find basically a staple at quarterback. I mean, before that, it was Case Keenum, who was doing really good for you guys. And I thought, honestly, the Vikings were going to say, hey, Case is going to be our guy. But, you guys did go with Kirk. And, it ain't looking too great right now.
No, not at all. I honestly think we would have been better off with Case Keenum because then it would have been easier for us to just wait for a young guy, get him early in the draft, and, we could have picked up maybe Justin Herbert. We could possibly tank for Trevor Lawrence next year,
Imagine that guy in the purple.
And then Case Keenum knows the system as well, too, and he could develop with some of the younger players.
Exactly. He could be the Alex Smith type mentor, too.
Maybe Case Keenum's career does not fall off a cliff.
Yeah, and get replaced by Drew Lock in Denver.
Yeah. So a lot could have gone differently for the Vikings, but
yeah. A franchise that is also having quarterback troubles right now, but for unfortunately all the wrong reasons right now is the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. I mean, I think all of you guys saw it. Dak Prescott broke his leg on this Sunday. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. The Red Rifle Andy Dalton is now going to be under center for America's team. What are you guys' thoughts on how the Cowboys are going to do? They are first right now in the NFC East, but that's the NFC East, and they currently have that record at 2 wins and 3 losses. Do you think that the Cowboys will be able to compete with Dalton under quarterback, or do you think that it's just going to be a wash at this point?
I think they'll be able to.
Yeah,
I mean.
Well, I don't know if you guys watched the end of that game, but off the momentum from Dak's injury, Andy Dalton led them down the field in a game-winning drive. When's the last time you've seen Andy Dalton go down the field for a game-winning drive?
Weapons around him now.
Exactly.
This is like the Ryan Tannehill situation.
This may be the situation for Andy Dalton. Maybe he'll get two solid years out of this before Dak's fully recovered, and then hopefully they pay that man. Hopefully this isn't.
Yeah. I honestly think what it's probably going to be is because with the way the NFL contracts work, you are able to franchise tag a guy for 2 years in a row. So I do think they're probably going to end up doing that with Dak. Just in the case that it does take a while for his leg to recover. I'm wondering how long it is going to take for Dak to get back. I think that he still is a younger guy. I think he's going to be able to get back, sooner than we think. I think that when he gets back on the field, I think there was a guy. It was on Pat McAfee's podcast, and I guess he was saying that he had basically a very similar injury to Dak, and he came back better than ever from it. And we can only assume that if Dak is able to get healthy from this thing, he'll be back basically better than ever as well.
Yeah, but we talk about sports being a business, and this is the perfect example of it. Dak should have taken the money this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it really does hurt to say, but Jerry Jones won the offseason.
Oh yeah, he's making Dak look like a fool right now.
I mean, Dak is.
Well, I don't know. Before that injury, he was having the best season of his career.
Exactly. He was. Yes, he deserved that money 100%. But look at what happened. He shattered his ankle. He won't be back until probably next season. You know how much value that makes him lose?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah,
very true. But hindsight is also
what team's going to want him after that injury?
Yeah.
Trust me, there's a lot of teams that'll want a 75% Dak.
$25 million for him now.
No, definitely not. But
do you think if Dak isn't a member of the Cowboys when he does come back, do you think he might do what Cam Newton did and basically sign like a 1-year prove-it deal? Do you think that's on the table?
I think that's a possibility.
Maybe not for the money and the discount that Cam went for, but I do think that if the Cowboys maybe see Dalton or they see another guy as basically saying, "Hey, we can build a system, and we don't need a guy like Dak to lead that system." Mm. Maybe Dak has to kind of do what Cam did and say, "Hey, I'm still here. I'm gonna go to whatever team. Maybe Tyler gets lucky and the Minnesota Vikings pull the trigger on a guy like a Dak Prescott for a year.
I'd be happy with that.
And
very happy with that.
For, I don't know, let's say 1 year, $10 million, just a number out there. He signs with them, and he comes through and he has himself a good year. He proves that he's still that guy, and he can go back on the market and show that he is worth that money. I think that could be well within the realm of possibilities.
But $10 million, nowhere near what Cam Newton's getting paid. That's blowing him out of the water. But yeah, I really just don't see Dak at that point in his career yet. I think he still has more to prove, more money. Has he ever really made big money in his NFL career? Off of a rookie contract, he was supposed to sign his extension.
This was supposed to be his first big break,
money-wise, in the NFL.
Hasn't gotten it yet. And Dak Prescott for the longest time was the benchmark and was the example of basically being able to stay on the field in the NFL. He missed a practice, and it was front page news for the Dallas Cowboys. So, this guy has been on the field constantly for this team, and the fact that he is now down is going to be – I think that the Cowboys will are going to really feel this injury, but I think that they are going to try to rally around it and really try to play hard for Dak here.
Yeah, and I think this is the exact reason why they signed a guy like Andy Dalton to play the bench this back season, because they probably knew it was possible something like this could happen, and there goes your franchise quarterback.
Yeah. So, we also just saw basically a guy come off a terrible injury like this in return, because this weekend we finally got to see the return of the man, Alex Smith. He's currently 36 years old, and he's back. He came off the bench after quarterback Kyle Allen for the Washington football team went down with a head injury, mm-hmm. And he came back in. He had some struggles. He was sacked a good number of times, but he looked like Alex Smith.
I didn't get a chance to see, but
yeah.
I heard the story.
He didn't do. I think he was 9 of 17. It wasn't anything like miraculous from the guy. But the guy looks more than capable out on the football field, which is great to see. And you look unfortunately at the sacks that did happen, but you do see some of those things, and it does actually give you basically that insight of saying, hey, this guy actually can take a hit in the pocket. He is going to be more durable than maybe a lot of people do think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said he looked mediocre. Maybe that could improve in the future, but the Redskins are a pretty young, undeveloped team. It's almost similar to the Gordon Hayward situation. When a guy comes back from an injury, there's really no sense in keeping him for his sentimental value, and he's not doing much for the future of your team.
Yeah,
I think with Alex Smith's case, though, I think he's more of a Paul George type guy. He just needs about a year or two to work his way back, and
he'll coming back.
And I think Alex Smith is coming back. Yeah.
The Redskins or a different?
who's coming in for the Redskins? They obviously are not in. They are not down with Dwayne Haskins.
That's true.
Kyle Allen is Kyle Allen. He's nothing. The Redskins are all in on Alex Smith. I say he's going to need probably maybe 5-6 games to really get back into the swing of things, and then maybe next season is the season where he gets back to Alex Smith level playing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though. He is older at this point. I think he is 36 years of age. I mean, you look at a guy like Brady who's 42. So I mean, there are guys who really can stretch their careers. So, but how much do you really think this guy does have left?
I want to see it happen for Alex Smith on the Redskins.
Do you think this guy can play till he's 40, 41?
No, not with that injury. No way.
No, I don't think he's going to last that long, but I think he still has one more great season in the tank.
I really hope he does, but yeah, it almost seemed like Ron Rivera was looking more towards the future, but we'll see.
Yeah,
clearly not if he's benching Haskins for Kyle Allen.
Yeah,
and now Alex Smith.
And it's reportedly, basically with the Haskins situation, it's being reported that he's actually on the trade block right now. So we were talking about, Ron Rivera originally saying that he hasn't given up on Haskins, and that originally started when Haskins was benched for Kyle Allen. But now reports are swirling that basically Dwayne Haskins is on the trade block.
Which blows my mind because he's really just unproven at this point. He really hasn't gotten that much of a chance. How many games did he play last season?
Not 100% sure, but I mean,
it was like 6 games, right?
Yeah. But I feel like
somewhere around 6 games.
Is trying to just establish he's probably just trying to find his guy. And, Dwayne Haskins has a ton of talent out of Ohio State, but I feel like Ron Rivera is probably just saying, hey, I want to have my system. I want to have my guys on the field. So, I think he's just going to run with whoever he has.
Tyler, I was saying it maybe last week. How often do Ohio State guys actually do well in the league? They don't make that transition well. And
Very true.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think I said it. I wouldn't be surprised if Dwayne Haskins ends up like a Tyrod Taylor, just pass around.
That could be possible. I think with Tyrod Taylor, he's just caught so many bad breaks.
Yep.
I think. It really isn't Tyrod Taylor the player. It's more Tyrod Taylor and his situation. So that has really screwed him.
The guy himself, yeah. But yeah, I could totally see Dwayne Haskins as that guy that's just kind of passed around teams as maybe a backup, but given minimal chances to get a shot.
It's very. I'd say it's very similar to the situation that we're currently seeing unfold with a guy like Josh Rosen.
I think he's going to be a step above Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fairly similar, though.
I don't see any light for Josh Rosen.
I don't think Josh Rosen's seen the field in weeks.
I mean, he hasn't, but at the same time, things aren't looking great for a guy like Haskins right now.
That hate for those text messages over the offseason.
And but here's the thing: if this team has already given up on Haskins so early, that's very similar to what happened in Arizona with Josh Rosen.
I think more or less Kyler Murray fell into their laps in Arizona.
Absolutely.
I think they were like, whoa, this guy is better than Josh Rosen. Yeah. And I think Josh Rosen just took it as oh man, they gave up on me, and then he gave up on himself. Yeah. I think he hurt himself.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. He definitely, I think he was given somewhat of an adequate chance in Arizona, but he didn't capitalize.
He had a shot in Miami too.
Yeah.
He had a shot in Miami too, and he got outplayed by how old is Ryan Fitzpatrick?
He's up there. He's probably
37.
Probably 37 at this point. At the time, he was probably 36. So
a 20-some-odd-year-old Josh Rosen got outplayed by journeyman 37-year-old bearded Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you want me to feel sympathy for him?
No. I mean, obviously the sympathy's there, but I mean, it's just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some other moves going around the NFL right now that are pretty large right now would be I believe that the Atlanta Falcons fired Dan Quinn over the weekend.
Wow, It's about time.
Yeah, they fired their GM too.
Yeah, so I mean, they are just completely cleaning house.
I think it's needed.
You do?
Yeah. I think it's been needed for a while. I think they should have cleaned house after 28-3 just to get the stink out of there.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about that, obviously. I mean, listen, it was. I mean, if you were to be a Falcons fan in that situation, I could completely understand the idea of, we got a completely clean house. We choked it away. But I mean, you look at the way that they performed, and they probably had the idea of, we'll be back. We're just gonna get that. We're just gonna get that second gear in us, and we'll be ready to go. For later on.
But has a team ever rebounded from getting dominated by the Patriots like that?
No,
never.
Yeah,
never.
You look at basically any team that plays the Patriots, and when the Patriots beat them in the Super Bowl, you look at them the year after, they're just not the same.
Absolutely,
team. They're not the same.
Yeah. They're just not that same team anymore. I mean,
it even happened to the Eagles, and the Eagles won.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, but you could make that argument more on the case of Carson Wentz or Nick Foles, but it really just happens to
the Eagles franchise has never been what it was when they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
at least after that.
Yeah, they haven't been anywhere close.
Nowhere close, but
no.
Talk about the Patriots ending careers.
Yeah. Speaking of the Patriots, we were basically thrown the news last minute that the Patriots-Broncos game was going to end up being rescheduled to this Sunday. The Pats and the Broncos both had a bye week this week. It was due to the second positive COVID test from Stephon Gilmore and the rest of that squad. It looks to be that for this Sunday, Cam and Drew Lock will be a go for the team, which makes this game a lot more interesting than it probably was going to be between a guy like Brian Hoyer and Brett Rypien, which at that point is just like flip a coin.
Yeah.
It's actually going to probably be a really good game now. What do you guys expect in this game?
I think we all know what to expect.
I think we expect the Patriots to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the Broncos.
It's the Broncos.
Yeah.
I love Drew Lock. He's got a bright future ahead.
He's a stud. He's got a lot of swagger. He's a great quarterback, but he's not ready to take on a Belichick system yet.
Yeah. At least not in his second year in the league.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, another big factor that's going to end up impacting that game. I just saw it maybe an hour or so ago before we started the show. Apparently, Melvin Gordon was arrested earlier today for a DUI and speeding. So he's
jeez, I better bench him on my fantasy
likely
team.
that he will not be on the field for that game, and it is likely that he will just not be available.
That is wild. I'm pretty sure I just saw a quote of him on some sort of social media saying that he's ready to work harder than ever or something like that.
Well, he was working, but
he was working behind the wheel, intoxicated. That's what he was working.
Yeah,
that's not good. You hate to see.
He was working on going to jail.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's working on that. He's working on that community service record now.
I thought that guy would come out of LA and be something special in Denver, but really he's not in the right situation.
Clearly,
and then again, you think of it's Denver, and there's situations that could arise.
Like what? Like what, Brian?
I mean, he just got arrested for a DUI in Denver.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm getting at?
Oh, so you think he's smoking marijuana while he's driving?
It is more than plausible. I mean, it's Denver.
Well, at least it's legal in the NFL.
In the NFL or in Colorado?
Well, it's legal in Colorado.
It's not legal in the NFL.
Well, no, a DUI isn't either, but I'm saying it's probably better than if he was drunk.
I mean, I'm not arguing that. I was just making a joke.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right, bet.
I think DUIs, listen, here at Down to the Wire, we think DUIs, whether they are alcohol-induced or marijuana-induced, are very bad. Don't do it.
Big time.
Any children listening, don't drive under the influence.
Any children listening, Pat, that one goes for you.
Jeez.
Yep.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, we are going to be able to see Cam back, on the field this Sunday. Do you think that do you think there's going to be any rust that he has to shake off, or do you think he's going to be ready to go?
No, I think he's going to come out and like you said,
no way.
Yeah,
he's been practicing this whole 2 weeks in his quarantine. He's been taking snaps and just running through plays and studying. His mind is always with the game, and I don't think a little 2-week break is going to slow him down.
No way.
What's up, Tyler?
No, I just said no 2-week break is going to slow Cam down.
Oh yeah, no, Cam's going to be completely fine when he comes back. I'm trying to think. That's really all I have in the NFL right now. Let's jump over to MLB real quick before we cover one last story. So,
Did you guys see the Dodgers put up 11 runs in the first inning?
Yeah, I mean, how do you think that the World Series is going to end up shaping up, in your opinion? I mean, the Rays right now.
I think Atlanta will come through.
So you got. I feel like you obviously have to have at this point Tampa coming out of the AL. I mean, they're up.
For sure.
They're up 3-0 against the Astros. It's good to see the Astros go down like this. I couldn't be happier, frankly.
I'm kind of annoyed that they made it this far. This was the first time ever in my life I rooted for the Yankees over the Astros.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm even better off seeing Tampa Bay do it because represent the AL East if the Sox can't, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay comes out, and I think Atlanta makes it as well.
Yeah, I mean Tampa's been a a very formidable franchise. Their fan base has really been lacking because apparently for them it's a struggle to get over a bridge to go see their team play in St. Pete. Apparently that's such a big deal to them, but they do look to be really promising going into the World Series. I'm wondering how they're going to be able to go up against that Atlanta team. They're both very young. They have a lot going for them. I mean, Atlanta's got a lot of young bats going on.
Mm-hmm.
Not really too keen on their pitching, but if I look at the Rays, you look at that team, and they're really built off their pitching. I mean, it's really I feel like it's going to be a story of just two strengths going at each other.
Definitely.
So
I think the biggest thing is what is wrong with LA. They have talent coming out of their ears, and they just cannot put it together.
I mean, but Los Angeles has completely just been decimated by trying to think. They've been completely just decimated by. What was I trying to think of? What were you saying there for a second? I just lost you.
What's that?
Oh, Los Angeles. No, so Los Angeles has just had basically just a record at this point of just completely falling short in the postseason. You think of the two back-to-back World Series that losses against the Red Sox. They've had I think it's 9 straight division titles at this point. They really do, have a good record for themselves. They do have something really good cut out, but they just don't seem to have all the pieces right now. I mean,
no, for sure.
Yeah, so they just do seem to be falling short. I am disappointed though that we didn't get to see that. We probably aren't going to get to see a World Series rematch between the Astros and the Dodgers. I think that would have made this playoffs really interesting. It would have been really fun to watch.
Definitely.
I think the Astros can definitely just go screw.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I mean the Astros, get them out of here. But I mean, you can't tell me that you wouldn't have liked having to see that Dodgers team go against the team that screwed them in 2017.
Unless the Dodgers straight swept them, but the fact that they made it this far in the first place.
I get the whole thing. I get the whole cheating thing, and I'm not a fan of it. But I mean, you have to.
But Brian's saying that he wouldn't root for the Yankees because he's not willing to put beef aside for what's morally correct.
I didn't say that. I was trying to say that if the Dodgers got there, you wouldn't want to see what would happen between those two guys between those two teams.
No, I wouldn't, because then Clayton Kershaw probably would have gotten
would choke it away.
Stats.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have liked to see how the Dodgers would have reacted. I think Joe Kelly would have probably made it interesting in those later innings. I think he would have really put the pressure on those guys.
It definitely would have been some beanball, but I don't know. I'd rather see a Tampa-Atlanta series. You got a bunch of young guys, teams with a lot of hustle and effort, and
a team that's actually deserving.
Precisely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad to see Tampa make it. I just think that if the Astros had made it and the Dodgers had made it, it would have been there would have been a lot of media hype behind it. I think that the entire country would have been with LA in this game, and I think it would have just been interesting to see if LA could really just get the best of these guys after they knew they got screwed in 2017. Mm-hmm. I think it would have just been a good headline to see.
For sure.
Yeah, great for baseball. Astros make the World Series again.
Yeah, and before we end up going down the wire, I know we don't really touch on NHL too much, but one story in the NHL that really affects the Boston Bruins is that longtime Bruins player Torey Krug ended up signing a 7-year deal with the St. Louis Blues. The deal was worth $45 million. Krug is currently 29, And basically, he admitted that he was not close to remaining with the Bruins, even though they offered him a contract about a year ago, but then pulled it. The GM Don Sweeney basically said on the signing that we fell short on our part. What do you guys think about basically this big staple of the Bruins just like parting ways and going to the team that ended up beating us in the Stanley Cup Finals basically like a year ago?
Obviously, probably not a good move.
Yeah, I know you're not the biggest hockey guy.
No.
Neither am I.
I know nothing about hockey.
I feel you. Krug was a staple of this Bruins team. It's going to be really tough seeing him and on the other basically in any other jersey. He's been one of those guys that growing up watching the Bruins, he's been one of those key guys. He hasn't for me. He's never been like one of the main guys. Like you think Bergeron, you think Char, and you think a lot of those guys. Even Marchand. He's never been that. Never been that to probably me or even like a lot of Bruins fans. But Torey Krug, the one play that for me describes his career with the Boston Bruins was that hit that he put on Rob Thomas in game one of the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he just completely
big hockey guy.
Yeah. But I remember he just got ripped down basically on the other side of the ice, and I remember he just basically got up, raced, and just hit the first Blues player he could see. And I remember just like that was the defining play for that I remember for Torey Krug.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was basically.
All right, boys. Well, I hate to do this, but it's 8:29. It looks like we're officially getting down to the wire.
Down to the wire.
It is official, boys. So that means we're basically going to go through everything that we talked about in the past hour before we head off for the night, and we'll see you guys again on Friday. In the NBA, we talked about the Los Angeles Lakers taking home banner number 17, ties them with the Celtics for the most championships. We talked about possibly does LeBron's fourth championship change the debate between him and Michael Jordan. Me and Carter both thought no. Tyler, does this really impact your thoughts on LeBron at all?
He needs two more. He needs two more.
If he gets the two more, will you call him the GOAT?
We'll talk about it.
All right. Will do. If he gets 7, will you call him the GOAT?
We'll talk about it.
All right. That'll be a discussion for another day. Anthony Davis said in free agency that he currently has no idea. A lot of us here think that is just plain bluffing, but we are going to have to really just see what happens with that. Is it really just for media hype, or is he actually or is there actually something bigger behind this? We'll have to just wait and see.
Media hype.
And then finally also in the NBA, we talked about Jimmy Butler saying that the Heat will be back. It's going to be very tough for the Heat to come back in this for the Heat to come back out of the East. Just a stacked division. Just a stacked conference right now. It's crazy to think that even though the East has been weak for so many years, I think it's going to be a really tough journey for them to get back to this finals.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so as well.
Yeah. In the NFL, we talked about Levon Bell being released from the New York Jets. Bell only played 17 games with the Jets. He is currently an unrestricted free agent, and we're trying to think of what teams possibly might want to sign him. There is some speculation about the Chiefs possibly bringing him in, even though they have a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's just some speculation that he'll be brought in and just be made the main feature back. There are some thoughts that could Belichick try to make a guy like Bell into a franchise player. A lot of speculation is going on with Le'Veon Bell. It's basically brand new news at this point. We're going to have to really just have to wait and see. Also, we talked about Dak Prescott breaking his leg. We're trying to really decide, is the Cowboys season in jeopardy? Can Andy Dalton lead this team? We're really going to have to see. We also talked about Dan Quinn getting fired by the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta they look like they're cleaning house at this point. We're just gonna, it's gonna be a very interesting next couple years for that Falcons franchise. They're in a pretty good NFC South right now with the Saints and the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
I could see
this is the year to tear it all down.
I agree, 100% with you, Tyler. We talked about the Browns being 4-1 for the first time since 1994. They seem to be really on the rise. We talked about the return of Alex Smith after basically 2 years just being out of the league. We also discussed in Washington, Dwayne Haskins being reportedly on the trading block. In New England, Pats Broncos was rescheduled at the last minute to this Sunday at 1. Cam and Drew Lock will both likely be under center because of this rescheduling. It's going to be a real interesting Sunday. I can't wait to see it. And then in the NHL, we also talked about Torey Krug going to the St. Louis Blues. Can't wait to see it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't like the move of Krug to the Blues, but that's really all I have for this show. I'm Brian Casa.
I'm Carter Adams.
I'm Tyler Tucker.
And this has been Down the Wire. We'll see you guys.
See you.